I'm here at Eagle Brass with Charles Bernard, the owner. Thank you for having us here today.
Good to have you, Deb.
I was hoping you could tell us a little bit about the history of Eagle Brass.
Sure. The company originally started as Metals Engineering Company, kind of like 1965, and it grew over the years, and in 1975 they put another building up next door, and they call that Penn Precision Rolling Mills. And that was to supply small quantities of copper-based alloys to the milling operation and to a service center in Chicago. And they did that for a number of years, and then the owner died in 1980 for Metals Engineering, and then a tool and die maker, Ed Mull, took over the business, and then he passed away in '87, and Brush Wellman got control, bought the company at that point. And then a partner and I bought the business in March of 1990 from Brush Wellman, and we started with 15 employees and 11,000 square feet in the small building, which was Penn Precision Rolling Mills. And the main product for the milling operation at Metals Engineering had ended, so they laid off the entire workforce and they moved the equipment up to one of their facilities in Rhode Island. So we started with 11,000 square feet, 15 employees, and the other 25,000 square feet building that we're in was empty. So we filled the small building. We then filled the 25,000 square feet. We had an expansion in 1998 to combine the buildings. We filled that. And then we have our three-phase building expansion going on now. And we just finished the first phase, as you know. And the second phase should start some time in a few months.
Okay, excellent. And can you talk to us about what does Eagle Brass do?
Eagle Brass is a re-roll mill, so we will take coils of copper alloy, stainless steel, cold roll steel, nickel alloys, and we'll buy that from melt mills or suppliers that actually take raw materials, melt that down, turn that into a coil. So you would see that like a big coil, a steel coil on the back of a truck. And we'll take that coil and roll it down as thin and as narrow as a coil of aluminum foil that you get in the store. So, and then we would sell that to job shop stampers or OEMs, and they might be stamping parts for the automotive or telecom or aerospace or medical applications. And that would go all over the country and also ship internationally as well.
So your product can end up in a very diverse segment of products out there, which I think probably helps to keep the company be very sustainable when you're talking about aeronautics and medical device and automotive, etc.
Yes, when we started, we were strictly a copper-based re-roll mill, and by that again, we'll take the large coils of metal and then we'll bring the material into a cold mill and a series of putting the metal through rolling mills to make it thinner and annealing furnaces to heat it up so we can do further coal reducing and then slit it to whatever size the customer wants. We were doing that for 1990 through 2000, and we grew steadily through that period of time. But then with the telecom bust and the dot-com meltdown, our business got cut in half. And the brass business was cut more than half. The telecom business shrank dramatically, and then we had the migration for products to China, and so the brass business has never recovered. So in '06, we put in a stainless furnace and got into the stainless steel business, and we've also gotten into the nickel-based alloy business, and then we went to the foil business. So like any company trying to survive when their pond starts to shrink, we've got to make the pond a little bit bigger. So that's why we went into other products, and we tried to enhance our capabilities and our product offerings.
Excellent. So last year, and just recently, you finished your first phase of your three-phase expansion. And how many square feet did you add?
We added, we had 50,000 square feet. We added 8,500, and that was primarily for a shipping and receiving area where we would bring material in, and we'll be putting in a 40,000-pound crane. We'll have a truck come in the building. Then we also have some external dock doors that'll ship and receive material. But we had overgrown our incoming and shipping area, and it looked like a episode of Hoarders. It was so bad. So since that time, we filled that up, and we can't believe that we ever fit everything in the old building the way it was. And the next expansion will be 12,500 square feet, which will be just for manufacturing equipment. And then to follow that up with the third phase would be the 7,500 square feet of 2 levels of office building.
Okay, excellent. So, you're busy running your company, and now all of a sudden you're looking at an expansion.
Mm-hmm.
And that can become time consuming, getting just through the logistic process of an expansion. So I know you hit some bumps in the road with that. And what I'd like to ask you is, if you could go back in a time machine, what would you do differently to have made that expansion go smoother?
I didn't know really what was involved when I got started. And then, you had to get a road around the building for the fire marshal. We had to talk about making improvements in the street and put in sewers. So it was a very lengthy process. It was a very expensive process. So I guess in hindsight, what I've learned is I would have called you first, and you, with your resources at GREP, would have helped us navigate that process a lot better. You would have brought in some people from a county level as well to give us some help and some guidance. And we've gotten a lot of help at the end from you and the people that you introduced us to. But that would have been very helpful had I done that in the beginning.
And that's a message that I appreciate you sharing, because it's something we constantly reach out to our local companies and try to educate them and say, if you're planning an expansion, make it easier on yourself. Give us a call first. Let's sit down and talk, and let's map out how we can best help you and what you're realistically looking at when it comes to that expansion.
Well, you were a great resource, and the people we got to talk to, like I said, we didn't know anybody. We really didn't know anybody in the township level. We certainly didn't know anybody in the county level. And we just kind of, and we were our own general contractor at the time. So it could have been approached a lot better. If and when I ever have to go through that process again, I'll be a lot smarter about it. But like everything in life, generally by the time you get something accomplished, you become pretty astute, but you may not get to do that again.
Well,
so.
Hindsight's 20/20. So. So what does the future hold for Eagle Brass?
Well, that's a good question. We continue to work in our business, and we continue to try to expand into different markets, and we look at getting more pieces of equipment, which we've been doing recently, and that'll make us better at what we're doing, and also get into areas that before we hadn't done. So we were always a custom manufacturer, and that works out well for a certain segment of our business, but people today want speed as well. So now we're at the point where our initial expansion we put in, we'll be having products staged so that we can be quicker and get to our customers, deliver that on a timely basis.
Excellent. Well, again, thank you for having us out here today.
Well, good being with you, and thanks very much to coming out to see us.